All right, we're at 6:01. I'd like to call the Town Hall School Building Committee to order. First item on the agenda, I'm gonna go through the roster. When I call your name, please say here. Diane Allen,
Here.
Kevin Kyra, John Doherty. Here. Jesse Finley. Jack Holloway. Here. Dennis Kelly.
Here.
Paul Millerani.
Here.
Paul Ruggiero.
Here.
Glenn Brand.
Here.
Steve Turner.
Here.
Dan Pallotta. Eric. Okay.
We have Phil O'Brien and
These are OPM. I'm just going to the committee, so.
oh, okay.
All right, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, with the agenda, I sent out the minutes from October 2nd. Has everybody had a chance to review them? If there's any discussion? And no discussion, I'd entertain a motion to accept these minutes.
Motion made.
Motion made, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Close.
Abstain.
Two abstentions. All right. Tom, did you get those two? Thank you. All right, next. Our OPM passed out some budgets reports here, so he's gonna provide us with a construction update, budget review.
So you get me pictures? Thank you. You all recognize that? So just want to give you an update where we are. That picture on the left and the picture on the right were taken at about 3:30 today. Electronically sent to the architect and put into the presentation, which is pretty much how we work every day with problems on the site. So that's how rapid with technology today we are solving problems. That is the meeting. That is the meeting room on the left, which is also on the left side of the picture on the right. You can see that the building is actually framed up to the floor of the third floor. The roof of the third floor is not on the building yet. OSHA requirement for us to make sure we have the deck down on. Which will be coming tomorrow and will be starting tomorrow. And we hope to have almost all the building up. You'll see most of the parts and pieces to the building on. That doesn't mean we're done putting the building together. Most of the pieces have 2 bolts in it and they need 6 or 8. All the bolts have to be torqued to a certain torque. And we will be working on getting the building perfectly true and plumb and putting all the little details that parts and pieces that we need to put the roof on and to put certain parts on the exterior of the building for over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So it's going to look like we're not doing much, but we're really doing a lot of work. So the steel goes up fast, the detailing goes slow. And we're right on schedule per the steel erector's schedule. So we've been blessed with good weather. We did not work on Tuesday because of the high winds. But we have been really blessed with not having rain. So that's it basically for construction. All of our underground utilities are in. We have water, we have sewer, we have connected the senior center to the sewer. Our coordination drawings, the architect takes all the file submitters in all the different trades. I mean, the contractor puts them all together and has to do a coordination drawing to be reviewed by the architect to make sure everything fits. And this is examples of what we're doing to make sure that everything fits. On the lower right-hand corner is travel ways for utilities under the slab. The picture in the lower left corner was the steel as of about a week and a half ago, with each piece colored green that was in place that day. So we're tracking each piece. We're doing about 57 pieces a day. Some days we got up as much as 70. Some days we only do about 30. The picture in the top left shows all your utilities to make sure that, that the ventilation, this building is going to have fresh air ventilation changing 2 to 3 times an hour. You need to make sure, you know, we have enough capacity to do that, enough space to squeeze the ductwork in. And that, all of these, connect to do that, so that's kind of where we're at. The picture in the middle is really cool. If you kind of took a saw and just sawed the building in half, that's what you'd see. With all the parts and pieces to it, so. We're pretty excited about it. The architect, is doing a fabulous job keeping up to date. Cause we get literally, probably 17 or 18 questions a week that we have to answer formally. And, you know, a lot of the questions are trying to get your questions so that they can find a way to stretch out the schedule. We've stayed ahead of all of that. The steel was really hard. As you can see, there's a lot of pieces here, and you can't get any of these pieces at Home Depot. Each one of these has to be individually made to the exact size, with the exact bolt locations, with the exact depth of steel, the exact size tubes. Everything has to be exact, and each one of those pieces also has a drawing to it. So there's a lot of work that was going on as we were doing the foundations and putting in the utilities to get the steel ready to go. Once the steel was ready to go, this is why I'm giving accolades to the architect, because the steel company was really ornery. We had a really tough time putting our arms around all their questions. But as you can see, it's fitting like a glove. So all the work paid off. So that's where we are in construction.
I will say that, that BMI, that we go through.
Yeah.
Every time we see that during our construction meeting, it's great because the project superintendent, we can ask a question, he brings it up, and he'll take us right to that section of the building.
Yeah.
And then we can open it up and take a look, and then Phil and his crew can just, you know, describe what we're looking at here. And then there's, it's pretty cool how it gets done.
Sorry about that. I have to tell you, I can't wait to get out of room 9 and into fresh air. I've been sneezing since you guys hired me, every single meeting. All right, budget time. You guys ready to talk budget?
Is that all you have on your drawing?
Yeah.
No, he's,
Yeah, that's all we have for drawings, I think. We just wanted to blow that up so you can see, that's basically what's going on above each of the ceilings. And all the different colors or all the different trades, and they all have to fit around one another without crashing into one another or into the structure, and just make sure everything fits, and that's what we do.
It's really cool.
Yeah. Because
For those of us that are building geeks,
before
it's
we could
cool.
do it electronically, it used to be kind of standing out on site. With
Right.
a tape measure and pencil and trying to figure it all out. So it's amazing to be able to do this.
Dave, could you talk a little bit about that roof line,
Roof line?
the roof of it,
What about it?
of the building?
Why it looks the
Well,
way
it
does in the
looks
picture?
like we have 2 patches and then,
Oh,
That's just.
yeah,
this is a computer model, Diane, and so it doesn't have the skin on it. So what you're looking at is a
Yeah.
combination of the steel structure poking through there in this image, which is kind of shown in kind of a rusty brown color
yeah,
here.
right,
That's the roof framing that you can see there. That's
Okay.
all gonna be covered. It's just they have something shut off so that we can actually see inside the building.
oh, all right, okay.
Yeah, it's misleading.
It's, right.
Field layers.
Kevin, you can bring a chair here.
Oh, you
There's
got a
room.
chair right there.
Okay.
Got a chair right
So
there.
from that standpoint, we're in great shape. Budget wise.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Budget wise, lot of action, picking up a lot of things that you guys have voted on. We had, if you look at the yellow block is the construction block. You'll see that, you know, we did the pre-construction, we bought the generator, we bought the switchgear, which I might tell you, it was the best thing we ever did. Cause we're gonna have power to the building on time.
That's all.
We also, you guys voted to upgrade the flooring to slate. And you guys voted to upgrade the exterior from cement board to the GFRC at the last meeting. So all of these things are wrapped into our changes to date. And so our changes to date are not too bad. We still have 1,179,000 left in our construction and the owner contingency. Not included in that is the complete FF&E budget, which hasn't been touched yet. Not included in that is some utility mitigation that we're hoping we're gonna dodge. Not included in that is the $250,000 you voted to give to WCTV. And we have had our first meetings with WCTV so that they can get started on what they're gonna need to do broadcasting from both the selectmen's meeting room as well as the main meeting room. Not including that is the IT and IT budget. And then we've also met with Ken Lord from the school department, as well as John O'Neill from the town side. You know, everybody knows what parts and pieces we're putting in, what parts and pieces they need to bring to the table, so that as we get closer to the end, all of those parts and pieces will come together. So we're in really, really good condition. So from a schedule standpoint, we've slipped a little bit from the original thought process of when we started the project. We thought we'd have this, the structure itself done by July, August of next summer. It's probably gonna be more like October 1st. And after that, there's gonna be a month or so of Ken Lord and John O'Neill going in and doing what they do, that nobody in this room knows what they do, but it makes everything work. So.
But Dan, can I ask you, so the parking lot won't be, I mean, as far as the students go, that'll be all set for the start of school.
Yeah, the parking lot, believe it or not, we put in all the utilities for the future light poles for the student parking. We just didn't put in the poles, or the pole bases, but all the conduits are run, so we don't have to tear up any of that parking lot. So the work we have to do next summer, when they leave and to finish that section of the parking lot, it's actually a lot easier than what we did past them. So I think the whole entire parking lot will be done before,
So we'll be able to look at, again, for the 4th of July festivities, the start of the school year, so it won't be impacted.
4th of July, the student parking lot, you certainly have for the 4th of July. Whether you have the whole entire parking lot, is to be seen. We know on our schedule that we're gonna have at least the base coat down on the
As we
entire,
get closer.
yeah. But I don't, we have to have a secure building before we can allow to have an event that close to the building. So we'll, just let us get a little further down the path and, we'll do like we did last year. Sometime in February, we'll meet with the 4th of July people so they can get that committee so that they can get all of their ducks in a row.
We should be closer to substantial completion by then anyway. So
Oh, yeah. We're definitely we're gonna be in good shape.
Okay.
It's exciting. The building looks awesome. Any questions? Yeah, see you guys later.
All right.
Excuse me, can I ask one question? So
Go ahead.
you mentioned October 1st roughly, and then I think that's some stuff. So when would the moving be roughly?
So I'm not gonna give you a date, because, when you give a date, you get in trouble. So what I'm gonna tell you is there is a coordination that needs to occur between IT and the infrastructure we put in to whether you can operate. That might take as little as a week, that might take a month. All right, some of that might be able to occur while we're working on the building. Some of it might have to occur after the furniture is installed. So I can't really give you a date until I even know what the furniture is. We're just getting started to talk about FF&E. Phil's gonna be working on FF&E with his subcontract consultant with all the departments to make sure that what we all anticipated FF&E to be is still what we're anticipating FF&E to be. So from that standpoint, we gotta coordinate all that. There's a tremendous amount of coordination of delivery of all that furniture, IT. It's not just about finishing the building. Finishing the building is gonna be relatively close to the original date. Opening the building, it's gonna be a little bit longer. Right?
So Dan, as we talked in one of the meetings, the plan is to meet with each department and have them understand what their furniture is gonna be, or what the design is gonna be. Cause I know a lot of the department heads approach Eric and myself on what the room, how the room setup is. Are they cubicles, are they desks, or what, so I don't have those answers.
Yes,
So
so,
they all have,
I'm gonna
Some
defer to
design-
the furniture consultant.
we'll bring our furniture consultant in and have them explain this all to you as well. But basically what we'd like to do is because we work and our consultant works for this building committee. And so what we'd like to do is the okay to go off with our consultant, talk to the department heads, and that could be as broad or as fine tuned as you'd like. In other words, if you want us to talk to the town manager and the superintendent and whoever they decide that we should talk to, then that's what we'll do. If you want us to go around and talk to each of the department heads, we'll do that as well. But we'll tell you that if every office wants a different type of furniture, your budget's gonna go through the roof. I think it's probably best to try to find something that everybody likes. Or something that everybody hates the least, depending on how it kind of shakes out. But what we'd like to do is go out, do a little, kind of canvassing, talk to folks and find out what they like, what they're looking for and so forth, and then bring that information back to the committee to make a decision. So that way, I feel like we can advise you all on the best of what's available and what people have, and what we think will work best for everyone. You
So
would make that
then
decision.
it's on that. I did speak to Eric on that, but we will be setting up individual meetings with the school department, with himself, with different department heads too, you know.
So
cause I mean, in all cases, where people are today in the FF&E they have today, everything's better than what they have today. So,
yeah,
if you're going with the expectation it's gonna be better than what you have today, you won't be disappointed.
okay,
And you'll be pleasantly surprised.
yeah.
No, but we do want to try to standardize because,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
if, you know, the school department has two less people and the desks can be transferred downstairs to the town hall, that's kind of the efficiency of having the two groups together in the town in one building.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that you guys are all gonna have a love fest on furniture and all agree on it. So.
And then
usually works that
invariably, right, no matter invariably, no matter how carefully we plan, after everything is in place, we check everything off. Different departments will start horse training and things will just disappear from one place and go someplace else. You know, I'm gonna trade you 2 file cabinets for this table. And so we'll make sure that everything is there, to the best of our ability. It might not all be there 2 weeks later. That's just based on our experience.
And the other question I get hit with a lot, who wants to talk about town road, is there's a lot of file cabinets in the town hall side, and I can imagine the school side. Now that obviously we couldn't take all that out and put in the new cabinets, and people are wondering how that's all gonna fit. So that will be part of the conversation, I'm assuming, when they know that there's 22 file cabinets in this building that have to end up there somewhere, somehow.
We are actually, what we have planned for in the furnishings design that's shown in the plans right now is that we'll have all new file cabinets and that the materials will be moved. And so that is one of the discussions that I think when you come to talking to movers, that you'll have to have with them. So file cabinets will be labeled as to where they're going with the room name or number on them. And then the file cabinets themselves, the materials, the mover will have to decide whether it's easier to move the file cabinet and then transfer the material and then get rid of the file cabinet, or to put everything in a box, label it, and then move it. I think they'll do the latter,
Yeah.
but that will be up to the mover. But I think that's probably the thing they do.
And when you get to sensitive material, you'll be packing those. We'll be giving you boxes. You'll be packing them and you're gonna write on the sticker where it's going. All right, so.
Because I know you have a lot of sensitive stuff, especially for the students and everything, and that's exactly right. They'll just deliver boxes and boxes. People will have to pack that.
The other thing, with regard to the storage is, you don't forget, we have a ginormous storage area in the basement of this building. So I'm expecting that, you know, the leftover storage stuff is probably gonna be used in the storage of the basement. I don't think that that's all been allocated, who's getting what
We
space.
have not assumed that there was gonna be a bunch of like file cabinets or shelves or anything in the basement at this point. So if you could, for example, I know some departments have tons of file cabinets. They may say that these are active, move the materials out of these into new file cabinets. And then these file cabinets themselves could move into the storage area.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you could do that.
I think there'll be some of that in talking with some of the departments. I know Eric's brought up to, all the department heads to start looking at, reviewing what you have and then the file laws of how to dispose of things. Because there is some stuff that could probably not move to the new building, but there'll be a lot that I think does happen.
I wanna say there's 43 different disposal laws, if I remember correctly from the last time they did this. It's unbelievable. Some are like 1 year, some are 7 years, some are indefinite.
Yeah.
Every department has different record laws. There is an advisory from the Secretary of State to help you guys with that. If you don't have it, you might wanna look that up.
Oh, the department heads have it, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Sorry, George, I don't know that this might be premature, but in terms of the schools, there's some really bad times of the year, like Paul today is working on the budget, and he's gonna be incredibly busy with that. And this is about the right time of year for that we're talking about. Is there gonna be flexibility with the planning of which departments move when, so we can cycle the times that actually work best for the different departments? Obviously, other departments in town hall have particularly bad seasons, busy seasons around elections, for example, and so things like that. Is there a way to stagger and organize the moving itself? I know it's a long ways off at this point.
There'll be an earliest point.
Yeah.
After that, I mean, you don't wanna move in for a year. I don't think it's gonna matter to any of us, you know what I mean?
I mean, if you like the Roman house, you can stay.
You might have to drag Paul out.
Paul wants to bring his fireplace.
He's gonna bring fire.
Steve, the reality of the matter is, we're not gonna drag people out of places. Well, we're gonna work, just like we have since day one. We've worked and been open and transparent on this project since day one. We've tried to accommodate everybody. 90% of the time, we've accommodated everybody. 10% of the time, we haven't. And that might happen here. If you're in the 10%, you're probably not gonna be happy when we move. If you're in the 90%, you'll probably be happy.
But it's just how we kind of work out the contract with the mover.
Yeah.
Right? If the mover is, I assume they're gonna move to different buildings, with different crews at different times anyway. But if they say, for example, it's gonna take 4 trucks to do X, Y, Z, and we could do, I mean, we gotta do 2 on one day, and then instead of coming back the next day, we can come back a week later, you know, it's just a kind of negotiation with them about what works best.
I will make a deal with you though. If you wanna pay for your move, you can move whatever you want. If I can take it out of my budget.
I'll keep that in mind.
All right, anything else before we move on? You know, we wanted to discuss color schemes, some material, signage, so.
Yeah, I think signage is first.
Signage first.
I think.
There it is.
Signage is first.
All right, so I was asked at the building committee meeting, so front of the building, this is the entrance. So not up in front on the street, but as you walk into the building right above, similar to the high school. Right, if you want to show it.
Yeah, this is shown in context.
Yeah.
So this is the little canopy you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
Back when we did the original rendering, we wrote Town Hall, Public Schools. That's what we put on there. That was placeholder. And we said, you've got time to decide, but
Right.
now
We're out of time.
now's the time to decide. Because they have to build this.
So this will be engraved into the concrete,
That's right.
GFRC.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Question for you. I don't know how much this would potentially impact things, but when I look at the big wall of the auditorium, if we want to say the word Wilmington and not have to force it into a space, we could say it in a much bigger way there and then stick with either town hall or town hall public schools above the door, which is a relatively smaller space, relatively lower. We put Wilmington, and if we want to advertise that it is Wilmington, why not do it in a bigger way on a bigger piece of wall space? And when I look at the auditorium as an example, that's the spot that's going to be the most visible from a couple different directions. I will admit I am not the most great with interior design and with visuals and things like that. So this may not be a great idea, but if we want to advertise Wilmington, if we want to say it big, that's not the biggest spot on the building. So we considered putting Wilmington up on the auditorium wall there in between the windows, basically filling that space almost twice the height of letters.
At the last meeting, the discussion was, just to remind everybody, the discussion was, should we add the word Wilmington?
Yeah.
And the thought process was, it should be, it should be, mentioned, but not figure.
Okay.
And the reason being is you're in Wilmington, all right? And it's just like a slight reminder, like, you know, you left North Reading, you're in Wilmington, okay?
Although very similar to the high school in the front of Wilmington High School.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And
So
then there'll be a sign at the street of some
Yeah,
sort.
there will be a
saying
sign on the street.
Wilmington Town Hall, or whatever,
Yes.
say whatever, we still have to.
Yeah.
It was just thinking, when I saw the two in the middle that say Wilmington there, if we're gonna say it, I would say it big, in my opinion, I would say it big. If we're not gonna say it big, I would say, why not, why say it at all? To your point, we're in Wilmington, we know we're in Wilmington, but if we feel the need to say it, then put it big and bright and bold.
See, I always have the opposite reaction, because I really like that number 3. I feel like it's a little more subtle and classic.
right, that's,
You know?
I have to agree with that.
I have to like number 3 too.
Yeah, I like number 3. I feel like it's just, it feels like the kind of thing you see on a classic town hall. And since we're gonna have a sign out on the street that I can think could be more descriptive, I think having just that, say, Wilmington Town Hall on the, above the building.
I agree.
I don't know, it feels,
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
The only thing with number 3, the 3 on the left-hand side is it doesn't say public schools. They've got a third of the building. Okay, and it's kind of disrespectful not to acknowledge them. People will be looking for school administration.
They'll be out the sign out on the street.
On the street.
And when you walk in the building, it's gonna say.
Okay.
And they have department of
This is the town hall,
It doesn't say zoning board of appeals.
you know, DPW. It's-
I do think it's important at the street level to have the litigation, so there's no question about where people are going. I just feel like this is more of a decorative piece, and then, I don't know, it's just fine.
And this one has to be done so it can be ordered, so.
Yeah, I need to order the
Yeah, I've
precast.
been holding off on this for this meeting just because they're like, make a decision. I'm like, no, this is a committee decision. you know, so.
Yeah, so
These,
we're not leaving tonight without.
so,
To John's point, I do default towards number 4 personally, because I do like the approach of acknowledging both pieces. I understand the more classic looks, and I don't think any of them are bad, to be very clear. I think all of those would look lovely on the front of the building. But as a
well,
default, just
why don't we start off? We can eliminate a couple, see which ones that we don't want to have. Say like number 1, can I cross that one off?
Take a vote.
Take a
I
vote.
move to cross number 1 off.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay.
I'd almost like to see what the price would be if they were the same size. You know, one small, one's bigger, one's bigger. I know, you can't ask for.
Would it, what,
Yeah.
would it, sorry, I think the word Bloomington is just so much alive.
Can't do that here.
But question is. Yeah. True. Guys,
Is there a reason, to the point about letter size, is there a reason for? I think number 2, Wilmington Town Hall are the same size. I think number 4, the 2 stacks of letters are 2 different sizes, is that correct?
They're all different sizes.
I'm all small on the.
Number 2 is smaller, okay.
Yeah.
And the reason. Obviously 3, I can tell the difference. And 4 is clearly different. Is there a way to stack them with letters the same size, or would that look somehow not work with the spacing?
Yeah, so what drove this is actually the growth, what would be a grow line.
Yeah.
Between these panels, and you want to try to avoid a letter going over it. It's not the end of the world, but that was what drove this.
So we're trying to avoid the joints.
Yeah.
The letters still, when you step back, those joints will fade away and you'll just read the letters. But you can't have them be jointy, right? And you don't want like the joint to go right through the letter O or something.
Will it be illuminated?
So it's an actual.
No, it's just incised into the stone.
Okay.
All right.
What do most towns, what do you see in,
Oh, if it was an easy answer, it would be easy, but there isn't a standard. You see different things in different towns.
I'd like to see if there's anybody who's got a strong feeling toward 1, or not the number 1, but a
One of
particular
these.
option, one of these options, and try to make a move forward with it.
Yeah, let me make a motion that we go with number 3.
So I have a motion for number 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Well, I guess it's unanimous.
Oppose? I'm gonna stick with what I said, so I'm gonna say no.
Okay. You showed that.
All right, Kelly, you go.
It is.
How the street tonight, that's all we need. And we're walking the lobby.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, now, I don't,
Like I said, I really want to.
Yeah. No. So we need to.
Only for. And it's so long,
Yeah.
and you get that small.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Yeah.
That's, you know, classic look.
Yeah, sure, it's important, but not urgent.
And most people don't want, they know without remote.
This is just.
So they're walking the first, they walk past right here.
Oh, listen up, guys.
Yeah, even though they walk past.
this is a visual aid. We're not suggesting that your floors are gonna be blue.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, this is just to help the areas.
Yeah, this is just to delineate, you know, I mean, there are three main, yeah, well, first of all, we're at the point where we've chosen a few materials. You know, I think the slate and the wood, even though the wood shade is maybe a little bit in flux, the wood and the green slate are driving the bus here. So, what we're showing here are different areas of carpet, because I think that's really kind of the big piece here. And we don't want to get in the weeds. We have a huge box of carpet samples. It's a neutral palette. We wanted to show, you know, what we're thinking for the offices, what we're thinking for the conference rooms, and then what we're thinking for the larger meeting room and hearing room. And we're just looking for input, so.
So the theory, the kind of overall theory is that we've got this really handsome natural stone floor that runs, you can see it runs through all through the hallway. And also all through the hallway, we're gonna have this nice natural wood that runs around, the baseboard and the trim up near the top, then the desks that all show, and then even the rolling shutters that come down in the evening, those are gonna be that same wood. So
Could
it's
you
gonna-
hold those up?
Yeah.
Can you pass one around?
Take a look.
Hold on and pass. So that's the stone floor, and then we're looking at wood trim,
Mhm.
kind of nice warm.
Turn it around the other way. The audience would like to see it. Yeah, just,
And these are rectangular? They're one by two.
it's more like a cherry wood.
Yes,
More
the
like a
idea is
cherry.
like,
Yeah,
here's
put
some
that back.
cherry.
They're doing a rectangle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then this is, that's the
And
overhead door.
Yeah, see, these are the overhead
I like
doors that are gonna be
I
at
like-
department, you know, public calendars. And we're really kind of chasing this,
Yes.
with.
And there.
So the roll down doors are made out of cherry, they'll be like a little roll top, yeah, I mean, it'll be straight rather than curved, but that's kind of what it looks like, similar product. So, given that we have this natural product on the floor and the trim, that's where a lot of the kind of, that's gonna set the tone of the building quite a bit, right? And there's kind of a richness in those materials. And so the materials that we're choosing to kind of go along with that, that are gonna go on the floors, the baseboards and the offices and so forth. The idea behind these is that, we're suggesting a very kind of, simple palette. And then if we want to do some punch and color and so forth, that we not do it on things like carpet or tile, but we do it with things like paint, because it's easy to change. Carpet's gonna be down there for a long time, and if somebody decides that the color that we may choose to put on the accent wall inside a conference room, for example, is out of style in 10 years, you can paint over that wall pretty easily. It's gonna be a lot harder than ripping up it's gonna be a lot easier than ripping up the carpet or pulling up the tile somewhere. So we're suggesting very kind of muted tones, taking advantage of that kind of handsome natural product that we have in the natural wood and the stone, and keeping the rest of the kind of hard to change things very simple, and then trying to pull in some accent colors with paint and other things that we.
And furniture.
And furnishing, right. So that's where your kind of sparkles of color will come from. And so we're trying to create a palette that's kind of simple, and we'll back that all up, and we'll work regardless of what you decide to do. Say, for example, in 5 years, teal comes back, or one of the other colors that was really popular in the 80s. And that's back, and I gotta have some. I gotta get some bubblegum pink, which seems to be really popular right now, maybe because of the Barbie movie, I don't know, but the outside, you wanna put something like that, it's easy to just paint over one of those walls, and the colors that we're trying to go with it, look. They won't have a problem with it, so that's why we're gonna show you some pretty. Sorry, I'm gonna preface in the kind of overall theme before Chris gets into it.
Yeah, so you'll probably see, you know, a little bit of this green and then, you might be asking, why is a brick in here? Well, there's a brick that's gonna run through the main lobby. And it's kind of, I mean, there's brick everywhere, so it's
Chris,
really,
again, you mentioned that the green, like colorblind, or is that a gray?
It's gray, but it's got a green.
It's got a hint of green in the slate. It's not green like a
Very
tree.
green, really.
It's greenish gray.
It's not gray like that one that he's got in his hand now. You see the difference?
Oh, okay.
So these are tiles that we're looking at. Yeah, so should I?
yeah, so we're gonna run through, like, again, I said, you know, the focus of this is really carpet. You know, stuff like ceramic for the bathrooms. There's a few different colors, you know, but there's really not a lot to choose from. We wanna kind of focus on the carpet, so that's.
But these things want to go together because
You do.
because the slate is in the corners. No matter where you go in the building, you're gonna step off the slate and into a room that's gonna have one of these other materials. And so it always butts up against the slate. So the things that we're thinking about really ought to go along with this slate.
Is one of the things for like stock, like if we need carpet.
These are carpet tiles, yeah.
Right, so does it make sense that the office has the same carpet or?
That is exactly what we're suggesting.
I'm just wondering, just because now you stock, you know, 10 different
So,
kinds of.
so the question, everybody heard that is, does it make sense that all the offices have the same carpet?
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're suggesting.
Absolutely.
That you have a couple of different carpet colors in the building, and then the offices is one color. And then maybe you do something else in some of the conference rooms, and maybe you do the third thing in those large meeting rooms, for example. So that when you, at the end of the job, they're gonna give you some boxes of tiles for spares, and you can swap those things out. And you don't have to maintain 20 of them, right? There's 3. And so if you decide you need to change something, it's not gonna be too hard to get.
It's all carpet.
It's all carpet tile.
So if you know, if you
That's
guys
epic
up in the
stuff.
school department, dump a big thing of ink. We can pull the tile out, and put another tile down.
Because you guys still use inkwell.
Because you guys still have ink wells.
And quills.
Paul, you put him in school, dude, we'll send the guy over.
Is the carpet gonna be solid carpet or is it gonna be carpet squares?
Carpet squares.
Carpet squares.
Yeah, and we're also, we're looking at a solution dyed carpet. And I think we talked about this during the design phase again, and that's as opposed to a yarn dyed carpet. A solution dyed means the colors are mixed in to the liquid nylon before the yarns are made. And what that means is you can scrub it and it won't come out.
Yeah.
A yarn dyed carpet allows you to get really sparkly, bright colors, but it's painted on to the outside of a clear piece of fiber. And if you scrub it enough, it starts to come off. And so, you can't get those real bright jewel tones with a solution dyed carpet, but then, you know, it's not a disco, it's a town hall.
So it's disco.
Well, there's no carpet at discos anyway, but I don't design discos, don't ask.
We're not gonna have lights on the floor.
There's no lights in the floor.
Yeah, so tennis
You've
games.
been doing disco a long time, right?
I'm from that. Of course I've been doing this.
Are you gonna put a disco ball in the selectmen's room?
There you go. We could do that. You just tell us what kind of lights you want there.
Right.
All right, ready?
Oh, we got a question back to.
Yeah, the carpet tiles, do you have any issues with color matching? Because I've had experiences where if it's not all dyed at the same time, it comes from the same place, that sometimes the colors.
Different lock windows.
off. Like the dye lots are off.
You know, the carpets you're gonna see are, I think, have enough variation where you're not going to, I mean, this isn't one solid color.
Okay.
As, you know, neutral as they are, they're gonna have a little texture to it. I don't think you'll run it.
And we are gonna leave an attic stock
We have attic.
for you to, from the same lot that went down.
Yeah.
But even that, you know, truth be told, you know, you're 5 years into it, you're putting down a tile that's been sitting in storage. It's gonna take 15 or 20 vacuums before it starts to look like.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm talking.
What do we
like,
usually have for
brand
attic
new
stock,
products.
typically percentage wise?
We will,
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good amount.
a lot of time.
That'll be able to be stored.
You had a stain in this room.
So when you said Dennis.
I'd say pull that pile out.
Yeah. 20 times
It doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put it over.
No,
And
exactly.
put the new one where no.
Like when no one's gonna see it, yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least because it's gonna be so much of it, we definitely can guarantee it's gonna be the same dialogue, because I've seen them. That just doesn't match the same.
And I gotta assume you're doing a random pattern, so that.
Yes.
So that way it's where I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, this slide's easy. This is the main entry. There's not a lot to, decide on other than the walk-off map, which is a pretty easy one. We're gonna pick from, one of these colors down here that matches the green. This is right when you walk in, you're wiping your feet. Everything else is pretty set in stone.
Can you just quickly explain that
Yeah.
the sandstone is the
Yeah.
is the exterior?
Yeah, so the brick, as I said, kind of runs through this entry at the front on the first floor. And that sandstone that's sitting next to it is the color of the grout.
It's the exterior brick wall, right? It runs right into here.
Right.
And when
And
you come in the lobby and you're looking at the doors going into the large meeting room, those are in brick. Brick runs right in. Right. So that we're carrying the inside and outside together.
yeah, so, we're only talking about these on the slide in the entry, but they are, that's what the building looks like. It's the precast.
The exterior of the building.
Exactly. So this is gonna be the color of the precast, there's sills.
Similar to
there's
the high
lintels.
school.
Like that stone material.
Yeah.
Right.
Brick and
How you have the
stone.
brick and then the light sandstone.
Yeah, and then the grout for this brick will be
Exactly.
matching that precast.
That's why it's meant to complement.
That's right. We chose these colors as directed because they kind of are complementary to what's going on at the high school across the street. Somebody's gonna come into downtown and say, oh, look at this, somebody planned this. So that's right.
Okay. Yeah.
So do you need a decision on one of these four?
I mean, this is more informative than anything. It's a walk-off mat. I'd like to go dark. I think I talked to George
Right,
about
to the
this.
scrapers as you
Yeah,
come
you
through.
Yeah, darker the better, really.
We just wanted to hide the dirt.
Yeah.
It really was.
You don't want color.
Is that a piece of what the walk-off mat is like? No, this here that's on the table.
This is the product,
Yeah.
and then this
So
is the
that-
actual
yeah.
mat.
Unless you want like a dark gray or.
You want
charcoal.
them, see how he's got the four up there to select from?
So what's that low one there? It's a-
Wrought iron?
Yeah, it's like a gray, dark gray
Dark,
charcoal.
dark, yeah.
I think that's the color that you
Yeah.
want.
That'll hide the most.
That will hide out everything.
That's this one.
And that's normally what you see walking into a building like this, so.
Middle top.
And can I see that?
Just replacement wise.
What do you wanna look at?
The actual piece.
The one at.
For those of you that aren't familiar with a walk-off mat, this
Can you pass that around too?
This
Yeah.
sets in a tray. So that as you're walking in with sand on your feet, you're scrubbing it off as you're walking.
Good.
So that the sand's not gonna get in the building, which means everything in the building will last a lot longer.
More,
Provided that maintenance, cleans it out once a year or once every 6 months. That the actual tray comes out and you vacuum it out, put it back down. So this is a real, since they've been doing these, it's been a real big help on the longevity of your corridors.
Because it's very respectful to it. And it's gonna-
Well, this is not the color. We're suggesting the wrought iron.
Middle.
It's coming around.
This one goes with the glare, like the time of like something going.
I think that was going darker, you're not gonna try to do different.
You don't want
But
to
the
find
other-
that.
Dan,
Yeah, that's even.
on the other side of that,
Yeah.
just look like that there is, I'm thinking in the winter.
Yeah.
You're coming in, might snow, salt, sand, and also wet. Because you're gonna go from there onto a more slipperier type of surface. So you could come in and you could bang your feet and really dry them off before you continue to walk.
Yeah, but even the slate, if you look at the slate, it has a nice texture to it. It's not gonna be slippery.
Yeah, it's good texture. It's not when you get.
We looked at homes and we decided that it would be a skating rink inside the building. So, you know, there were decisions about, you know, long-term liability and tragedy.
Right.
Would it also be on the second floor in that back entrance that comes off the parking lot?
A walk-off mat will be,
We on both of them,
yes.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one did you?
Well,
I could go.
Either one of those, yeah.
but
Yeah.
That's on
Yeah,
Facebook,
that-
was that house.
Which one we pick?
Oh,
Top middle. Yeah, so.
What? Blue.
Would that also be in the side entrances?
walk-off mats.
Yeah.
Get the back entrance.
That's
On
just
Main-
stacking, but on each side, there was
You know
some.
what?
Signs are exit only.
Doors, no,
You
those
should
are
put it against
Exit
the
only.
tile.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, we didn't.
Yeah, you know what? She brings up a good point.
Put it against the tile.
Put it next to the tile of the floor, this particular color we're looking at.
It's still going around.
Yeah.
So Dan, that little piece there, that's gonna be a different color.
You wanna do the.
Yeah,
That's the color.
that's what these are. So
Oh,
one of these can go in those slots.
Oh, okay.
It's a long
I thought we were
strip,
picking carpet and then. but we're
No,
not-
no, no, no.
No, we're not-
Kevin, if I asked you to pick the carpet for the building with these little teeny squares, you'd fire me today.
No, I never did that.
Slip the paper under slip the paper under the slate, so it touches. There you go.
Look at me. Ooh, I like that.
The middle,
I like all the dark ones.
right?
You would think the architect's done this before.
Yeah.
I need a picture, but this is not your first job.
I think the middle one looks fine.
Yeah.
Do we need a vote on, we're
So
not
we
really
talk
voting.
right-
I think it's one vote.
Right.
That's it. Everything you did is excellent. Yeah.
And he wants it in the meeting minutes.
Is that what they?
Yeah. Looks different there, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why they wanted to pass.
You've seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, everything on the computer looks odd because the colors are just slightly, like, I could have a different screen here, Kevin, and that wrought iron would look
Even the
lighter.
red brick.
Even the brick looks different. I mean, look at, it's a little bit oranger there than it is on the screen.
Never trusted you. Say
So never take that picture and put it on the screen. because you look-
Well, that's why we wanted to have the in-person meeting so you can touch and feel the stuff.
Dan, and what color is oranger?
Okay.
Oranger is when you have a tangerine and then it grows bigger, it becomes an orange.
I looked in the color swatch, I didn't see orange.
Hey, 320 on my SAT in English. What can I say? Medford Public Schools. 720 in math, 320 in English.
Is that?
Get 200 correct
My
name
tax
right.
council said it would have got an 800 if I could read.
All right, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Run this meeting.
Yeah. Too much chocolate.
All right.
Come on, next,
Next
next,
choice. Next choice.
next.
All right, right, all right. Moving on.
Okay,
So these are your colors. We kind of showed them up. We've them around.
Yep.
That's kind of what we're basing things on.
So you may have noticed these colors are varying a little bit on the screen as they do, right? So we have the samples over here, so you can get a sense of what these look like.
Stop passing them out.
Yeah, we're starting with the large meeting room, which I think, unlike the offices, we want at least a little color in there.
the large meeting room, the selectmen's large meeting room,
Both-
right?
The two big ones.
The two big ones.
Yeah.
So they have a choice of either or. Is this an either or situation?
Well, it's kind of like thumbs up on the.
I think one is oranger than the orange.
This is orange.
Hey, you don't have something with like
Orangey.
blue stripes. It's got red.
It's orange. I'm leaving.
So you may think of that as an orange color, but I would recommend you put it with this.
Red.
Wait a minute.
And it will,
It's a gray with it, with just.
put it with that and I think you'll see that.
Red.
Because there's a lot of that wood in there.
So is there any?
Oh, look at that. Now it looks like it matches.
Wow, it looks like you do this.
Is there anything else
Is
there?
there anything with blue, since we're not from Tewksbury, that's red, right? Orange is.
He's got a point there. Blue.
Orange is
Blue.
Woburn.
He's got a point
All
there.
right.
What
What else?
Remember the floor plans we showed you?
Anything there with
I like the
the blue?
blue.
Blue stripe instead of red or orange.
We want blue or
Blue or-
I am a Medford Mustang, we're blue too.
Yeah.
There you
Nothing with the blue, right?
Nice.
Not that we have to show you this evening. No, we picked a warm tone to go along with the wood. We're
Okay.
a little concerned that the blue might not look all that great. But that doesn't mean you can't do blue chairs. You certainly could.
No, that's what we were just discussing.
Blue chairs with orange stripes.
No.
Yeah.
Then the Broncos could.
I'm just saying.
Blue
Picking orange stripes or red stripes.
chairs with orange stripes on them.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
I think that
it is
Orange stripes or red stripes, and then you're gonna go blue chairs.
Sometimes.
I'm not an interior designer. but I
Yeah,
can
so
tell you
this,
that
this
doesn't
right.
And that has blue in it.
work. See?
You guys like that?
And
Big mistake room is.
Oh, yeah.
How big is, how big are the two conference rooms?
Yeah, look at this one.
I think it's blue.
so.
I like that.
Put it next to the slate. You have
I
to
like
like
that.
so you can look at it.
And look at the browns in that, the browns would not work.
This is it.
This is the right thing.
Yeah, but
You're only gonna see the slate and the carpet at the door front, in the door front.
Right.
And it needs to.
Yeah, there's an underlayment, so.
Yeah.
What that's.
You got a little more here.
I like
But it still works with this.
I like that one.
I think it's blue. All right,
I think you got
I'm
it.
done for the night. See ya.
I like
I
this.
think this.
Yeah, I agree.
I like this right here.
So my.
But it has light
And I
enough in
can
it.
see chairs in the blue,
Right.
like in a navy
So-
or,
Right.
something in the blue.
Right.
Chris,
And then
just something to tell us.
Yeah, so I like that, and we labeled it on the back as a community room or a conference room, because it was still gonna complement the slate off the hallway.
Okay.
What Phil was saying about the wood, I think, I think it. I wouldn't say it clashes.
I think, I like that carpet with the blue stripes and maybe with some blue furniture.
Yeah. I like blue accents.
Blue accent chairs, I think would be
Because if you pick
great.
furniture,
This is our community room.
we'll pick up that.
That was like a conference room, community room option. I like it. But if that's the favorite.
All right, and we are gonna make sure that both the selectmen's meeting room and the community room are the same carpet, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So that all.
We are.
Yeah.
So, Phil,
Now, we don't wanna go to the yellow room, go to the blue room thing.
the question is, similar to our other project, will they show up with color schemes based with what we're showing here?
Yeah.
So we get into some of these different areas.
Yeah, so what we were suggesting is that there's an office carpet, there's a conference room carpet, and then there's a meeting room carpet. We were looking at 3. So the conference rooms and community room were kind of in the same group, the 2 big meeting rooms, like with the 3rd group. If you're saying that you'd like this for the large rooms, we could look at a 3rd color, we could look at another color for community and conference rooms, or we can keep all the meeting rooms in the building the same.
I would think you keep all of them the same.
Yeah, the conference rooms and the large rooms and.
I would
All
agree.
in that,
So
and
just
then
2
just
carpets
the
in
offices.
And then that's-
Yeah,
Yeah, then we'll
It's
just have
even
2
better
carpets.
in terms of attic stock
Yeah.
and what we have to deal with in the future.
having 2 extra groups.
Makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
You're not
For
gonna
the
be the
facilities guys.
same time, so no one's gonna really know the difference.
Let's keep them in Clark Kent. All right, we did.
Yeah.
We're all in this.
Is it,
Yes,
Yes.
unanimous, I would say.
all right, yeah, I think that's our last slide.
And as long as when they.
I'm
We're all set.
I'm gonna come this way, just so. we can-
Yeah.
What are you gonna do for the offices? You getting ready to show us those?
All right, now these
Sorry,
are
on
the
the
offices.
It's basically a very similar tile, right? Very similar pattern, doesn't have the colors in it.
Yeah, makes sense.
So, if we pick- so basically, are you
It's either
saying,
darker or lighter.
so, well, I was gonna ask that question. So are you saying that if we go with this, that has the slight color, that the officers will be the same background color,
Yeah, that would be.
so that.
That's the office,
Dirt.
that's.
Yeah, right there at the
He's showing
top.
two top
I
ones.
mean, this one doesn't
I like the
work.
top one.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with that.
But they're not gonna be next to each other.
No, the top one.
Put the
Well,
top
well.
one next, put the other one next to it.
In my office there is, I'm gonna have my office go.
Okay,
back.
I'll let you decide.
Let's go. I think.
But I still, yeah, I feel like the dark one, yeah.
So
Now,
if
see?
I like the top.
if you had those two together.
This is
Yeah.
basically that without the line.
Right,
Yeah, that's exactly right.
that's what you want.
Everybody's dying to see it.
That's what you
But
want.
see, that's-
Yes,
that's Eric's
That's it, yeah.
transition. This is that without the line.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and that's what I think you want.
Yeah.
What are you doing, a capital?
That's just trying to do a shed over.
Yeah, so I think those two carpets, offices, one color, and then all the meeting and conference space.
Like the nothing you can do this from over.
And it has the blue.
All right,
Yeah, so that's the rest of the slide.
all right.
And we're not gonna get the.
That one you can quarter.
No.
Right?
Like just for this like.
line.
Those are sleeping pods?
Yeah, and there's, there's different
That's
formats.
your reception rooms.
There's different formats as well. This pattern that we're looking at doesn't change much. Depending on if you're,
Whether it's this or that.
these are two different colors, but this is an ashlar pattern. And that would, create, these lines would, stop and start and that sort of thing. So actually a few slides. That's why we showed so many different patterns. This is kind of a more random stop and start. And this is, what you see over here, I think is great. And that's just squares, just monolith.
Yeah, I
Right,
agree.
I agree.
I agree with the
Yeah.
squares too.
Yeah.
I think the rectangles are actually harder to replace.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys have had to deal with that.
No, I'd rather see the squares.
No, I think the one on the far left, the squares of that, and just, I think that makes sense.
I think a lot of sites are little options that you guys are
Yeah.
maybe aren't all that interested
When
in.
that goes down, that will look like one piece.
Yeah.
You know, if it's laid down correctly,
So
the other.
that's
one, you
basically
start-
what we just looked at.
Vacuuming it.
the linear.
We'll let you.
Yeah, you start seeing the.
You know, you'll start,
Very
you'll
cool.
see too many lines.
Judy,
That is,
Judy, the only difference.
the interior portion of the window?
Puts the lines the other way.
Yeah.
So,
That's
we just want to show you one more little thing here, so. This is the frame of the window, right?
So you can see it from the inside and the outside of the building.
So that's the frame of the window and that's the shade.
Yeah, I
So
think it
just
works
showing
great.
you how it works with what you just
I
selected.
think that works great.
See how it all works together?
Yeah.
Old texture.
Yeah.
We're really smart.
I'm gonna be coming.
It's almost as if we set you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Say that
it's-
again?
you see it like.
That makes sense.
No, thank you.
Oh, this is from a different building.
That makes my head hurt.
We wanted to give you folks some options.
Oh, too busy.
Nobody likes?
We're busy.
Yeah.
Busy.
Good, Colleen, they did the same thing. going to the high school.
No,
Oh, thank you.
And then when you
This
start
is
laid
the
out, it
sequence.
looked good.
That's nice.
One like that?
Similar to that different color, but I was
So
like.
this is that lighter color that Chris was standing with.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
everybody said, it doesn't match this one. Everybody liked the one that matched this one without the colors. This is the lighter, right?
Yeah, I like it's called flannel, the color
Yeah.
that you have chosen. The only reason I would go lighter is, the only argument I think you could make is the offices, maybe as you get deeper into the offices, you have less light. That's why we included some lighter options, but I think, that's not.
You're gonna have a white ceiling, you're gonna have
Yeah.
LED lighting, I'm not worried about that.
is the presumption that most walls would be white or a light color? Because then a darker floor is okay, but if you've got the darker floor and you go with one of the walls that you decide you want to.
Typically, yeah, so when we get into paints, there's more time for paints. And typically, we're gonna suggest a color that you would use in most of the offices, and then that would be kind of your kind of go-to color. So all the storage rooms, mechanical rooms, everything, you just be painted that color, whatever it is, whether
Eggshell.
it's an eggshell, it's an off-white, it's a linen, or gold, or something pretty simple. And then, when you get into things like meeting rooms, we might want to do something different on the walls, and we might also want to talk about accent colors on walls. Just because an accent wall, like on this one, for example, the shades, actually, the blue color acts as an accent wall in this room. And it's, the fourth wall gives you something a little bit different going on if you're looking in this direction, but bookshelves do the same thing. It's just nice to have a break in something, especially if it's the wall where you're presenting, where you're gonna, you know, in a meeting like this, it's gonna show up on television. It's nice to have that. You don't have to, but you certainly could. And then you can also change the kind of color scheme a little bit, as I said, just by repainting one wall, if people start to get tired of that.
As an accent.
And so we would typically be picking up something that goes with some of these, that you might pick up on some of the furniture. Again, these are different options that we've already decided that you are not interested in. So toilet rooms. Again, we have the tiles that we picked out is a porcelain tile. And they're color through tiles, so they aren't the type of tile that has just a regular cake body with a color printed on the top of them, and then after 5 years, you wear through the surface and they're worn out. So these are gonna wear a lot longer. Color, because the color goes all the way through, so they're really hard because they're porcelain tiles. And the toilets, so because of the way they're made, the colors are mixed right in, they're like a brick, it mixed right into the mortar. Before they're fired. And so there's only a couple of colors and they're kind of natural. So we're picking out colors.
You're gonna transition from the green in the hallway to that color, right?
There's a threshold in
The
each one of
threshold
these things.
strip.
Yep, and that's made out of marble. See that?
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay. Well, so we've got tile on the floor and then we've got tile on one wall in the toilet. So it's kind of, so it's two different options there.
Yeah, so it's really like, there's, one option that's actually more of a brown, and, that will be picking up. It won't be really picking up the wood, because that's in the hallway. But these are really kind of the choices for what would be.
The brown is just the wet wall,
Just the wet wall.
right? The wet wall meaning the wall that has the fixtures attached to it.
Is the brown A or B? Because one of them looks tan, one of them looks gray, but none of them look brown.
Yeah, these are a little overexposed.
These, yeah, so
So
This is the
one is for
brown
the
I would-
wall,
suggest that.
I like A. Which one they would be?
B.
A. Let's throw it up there.
B,
No.
which would be,
So what wall and floor? What?
What's the wall? Oh, those two are walls.
Wall.
I don't think brown is.
And we have,
Yeah.
we have to pick
I'm not
up-
used to that.
What's the floor look like? And that's the floor.
I think those,
That's the-
Yeah, those two. I think those two.
Well,
In my humble-
those two.
wait,
put that
So you're
one
voting
on.
out the brown.
I almost think that the dark would be flowing, might be the wall, but I don't.
take one out of the middle. I wanna see.
We're mixing it up a little bit. If you
Just play
put
with
Yeah.
Put this one on the floor. right? That on the wall. Right? That comes like a little vignette that you'll have in the room, okay? And then the fixtures are gonna be white.
Yeah.
So the fixtures are gonna be very bold against that wall. And then,
Phil, could you do that other one? I just think because of being the bathroom, of course, no ambient light, just light fixtures, that's gonna make it pretty dark if that's throughout. So I just want.
It's just the one wall,
Yeah.
it's just the wet
I know,
wall. We have
I get it.
paint on the other three
Or
walls.
everything, you got your toilets, your everything.
A little
Can you
soft.
tilt that floor so we can see it just a little?
well,
left one leg.
it's like the whole
Can I
world.
buy a vowel?
You don't have enough money.
Not in the budget.
Change one.
Change one of the
It's odd to have brown in the back. It seems, makes more sense to have
I
gray.
think that's
A lot of the other things we're
wall.
sticking with is gray, so I think the other one makes more sense.
This hurts my brain, just pick one of
Yeah, that's.
You didn't pick that time.
Phil, what's your recommendation? Other design?
I like that one too, and if you did gold instead of white fixtures.
in the meeting.
Avocado,
Again, the marble.
The one that,
The
the other
marble.
one
Look at
that
the marble.
matches in without.
Guess what color that is?
Going in the
Yeah.
other.
Gold.
Gold.
Right, then,
They'll be,
On the
they're
same.
not, they're not supposed to win.
now you're gonna get it for waves.
Yeah, that kind of looks good.
So that's A,
That's A.
That's A, right?
And that one's big,
And that one-
brownish.
I like that.
That's A.
B is for brown.
I think I'd go with
A, I go with A.
Yeah, A looks good.
I like that.
People have the option, so they.
Sound like 24. So these tiles are bigger than this. The tiles are 12 inches high, 24 inches wide.
It's a big guy.
Big
Oh, wow,
tiles.
thank you.
Yeah, so this is just a sample. We didn't want to carry them,
I don't like that.
but it's gonna be a long.
So A,
It's
A,
I like that one.
So Phil, is that for the men's room and I see the ladies like the brown, they can have the brown. Just, again.
That's the ladies.
I like the brown. I like the brown. And this is where, and it's transitioning.
Yeah, these things.
Yeah.
Discretion is the better part of value, right?
Couldn't do two different colors.
This is actually closer.
Yeah, he would be
John Park.
Yeah, right, I think this is.
What happens if we get two different colors, and you don't like it, are you gonna use our bathroom?
This to me is actually a natural.
Yeah. Toilets, like, unlike anything else in the building.
Yeah.
And then what do you have?
Toilets in your elevator.
Yeah.
Are really kind of-
I think these are to the floor of this building, because it's not.
This one?
Yeah.
So we're gonna,
Yeah.
There's no
It's not-
partitions.
No, there's
Because.
petitions.
This-
Why don't, let's spread out in the room.
Yes.
Do we have petitions?
Fenway Park.
Do we have petitions?
Yes, yes.
who was a woman, I like to name those.
Are they, so they're on the floor, they're not.
They've come
Like
around
they
to
say,
A.
they say like the warmer color, but
So we.
now I'm not so
we can
sure.
Creep underneath them.
Well, I don't know if
I
we-
like
Yeah, but
the
it's-
warmer,
They're
but
they're
Judy
postmarked.
raised a
They're
good point.
postmarked, right?
You know.
They're not saying,
No.
You
so
come
they're
around,
postmarked, that's
Why
your.
this transitions
But
better
it's only the wet one.
yeah,
to this
Soil is the
one.
partition?
yeah.
Yeah, so,
That transitions better
here's the,
around.
here's the
You're
problem.
introducing a third color.
You are,
This almost looks like two variations of the same color on the side of the pink.
yeah,
Now I'm gonna throw the monkey.
okay.
No. Now you've ruined it, Dan. We had a consensus. I think we'll go with A.
The point I'm making is I don't think Brown will go with the toilet petition.
Yeah, no.
Go with A.
Go with Dave, it doesn't look good, we can blame him.
What else say? He's been
And the toilet petition is solid brown.
Yes, Yeah, that's great.
It's an HR issue, you're spending this much time in the bathroom to complain about the time.
Not the direction.
So Phil, you have the right one now?
Chris is right.
A.
That's the toilet petition. It's solid phenomenon. So, you know, some parent kid got a bad grade.
What trace it is out of?
Sand it out.
So it's just an old resident. I don't like the.
It's like a message.
All right, hold on, we'll get
Look,
a
I
little.
know that the school department is being very quiet because they just want out of the Roman house.
It doesn't matter, whatever. A toilet would be great, right?
Yeah, adult toilets from this century. How about that?
What is that made out of?
No, neither is this
Go fix.
The fire chief says the building's.
Resin.
It's
The
a,
resin.
Yeah.
it's a baton, so it's in like an artificial stone, but it's solid. It's
True.
hard to damage, you can't light it on fire.
Doesn't rust.
Yeah. So
Doesn't
now,
rust.
But don't try.
so the darker color, we had the floor, the darker color, the A. And those are gonna be big,
It's gonna look good.
big, right? And then that's the petition for the toilets. How is that working all together? So, okay, you did something with that.
Okay,
So there's a question. So in the single toilets, you don't have this. When you go into the larger toilets, the women's room, there's 2 stalls and the men's room is 1.
so no, it's true.
That looks good, right?
Number white fixtures.
Yeah,
Right.
works.
It's good.
So make it so.
Next,
Still in this,
What else we gotta decide?
That's really it.
We're doing good though, we may wanna throw a few more.
We got some.
and the sinks are gonna be.
No
mounted.
way.
Is that what you said?
You saw
That-
colors on there.
Threshold.
Oh, the threshold, the threshold,
So when you step between this floor and
right.
there's a little threshold that's raised,
Little
okay, the
raise,
flood,
yeah,
it keeps the water from running out into the hallway. There's a grate in there.
okay,
Oh, there is more.
Stairways.
Oh, yeah.
Stairs, the stairs and the stair landings have rubber on
okay. The
That is the
stairs.
tread right there.
them. So it's one piece, thread runs up on the riser, and then this nosing piece flaps right down over the next one. So it's one piece with no seam in the back, makes it for easy cleaning.
And does that meet up with the flagstone, with the,
There's our threshold
with the
there.
hallway?
Well,
What's it meet up with?
when you, yes, when you step out of the hallway,
Yeah,
you walk across a rubber floor that will match this,
okay.
and then up the stairs. Landing will have the rubber, up another flight of stairs, landing of rubber, and then step off through the door onto the slate.
And it's rubber.
Landing on rubber.
Rubber,
So
Yeah.
there's a landing when you first walk in,
Yeah.
down the stairs, a landing at the midpoint, down the stairs, landing at the bottom.
That's not most staircases in back just concrete.
Yeah, it is
Like
concrete.
it's also noisy.
This
It's
is,
gonna be
yeah, so
covered.
this is covering the concrete.
Okay.
It just, yeah, it helps it
Dampen the noise.
dampen the noise, it keeps the slippage from happening, because the edge of a concrete stair is made out of metal.
Yeah.
And you're actually, it flips.
So like a Nora
Yeah.
flowing,
Metal,
oh,
And
that.
it gets slippery.
like Nora flowing,
it gets,
stairs,
So that,
like Nora flowing, Nora.
not
Yeah.
the color,
Yeah.
but this is the sample.
That, yeah,
It's similar.
the material, the material.
It's like a Nora rubber, right?
yeah, and it's got, comes,
So what color would it be?
comes in different textures.
So we're just showing three here, you know, up against, well, the slate doesn't look like the slate there, but that's what's in the background. We're showing the wood because there's a wood partition you know, between the transition from the slate to these floors in the stairway. I mean, you know, there's a million.
I have to be honest with you. I think the stairways should have some color in it. Because that most of the building has gray tones. And, you know, you can have the vertical transportation be a different color, and you can have each stairway be a different color.
Or we can match the stairway to the blue.
Blue.
That little blue stripe in the carpet.
Or you can
Yeah,
have
I mean,
each
but that's
floor-
color, Steve.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
if you did a solid blue or a blue with a speck,
Yeah.
you're introducing color.
You could have the demarcations for the floors in different colors, so like.
True.
One level's one color, one level's another color, so you know, if you're going from 2 to 3, you're going up to blue level. Columbia blue.
Not to throw a monkey wrench into anything, but is there a slate that's got kind of like a blue hue instead of a green hue?
It's a
There is.
It's a bridge.
You can actually, that's the blue, this is,
This one here,
it's a Vermont slate that is strong.
Right.
We actually,
I-
we
I-
could have had it.
He's going.
George and I took a pen to it, scratched it, right?
yeah, look at that.
Right, I'll scratch it. So there's an actual reason why we're doing that. Does one exist that?
I like the
that's strong?
speckled, or the textured effect.
Oh, the other one was beautiful.
Barry
So you
Vermont.
drag, even though it's this across it, they left a mark. So it's
The second one, yeah,
I think the copy you picked is gonna help you when you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, which one?
Yeah, now look at that. That looks like it grew out of the same plant.
right. Yeah,
The rubber tree?
that, or you wanna add,
See, now, I don't live in Wilmington, but I like that idea for the landings, but I think the stairs should have color.
Yeah. Any blue speckle in there, any of
Yeah,
those?
there's a blue speckle there.
Which,
hold that back up again?
pass it around, pass that.
Bill's
around.
afraid to hold it up.
Chris, pass it around.
We should start in the crowd.
You're saying the landings, one color and some the other two.
I personally like to have landings in different colors, so you know when you differentiate transition.
That's not,
This is
point
the-
two.
I can stand there and hold that so that you don't have to do
Because
this.
you got people that are here, that are
Yeah.
visually impaired, they know that there's a different change in color for a
In
reason.
some ways, then you should have the landing be the color and have the stairs be the gray.
Well,
Or whatever.
They were saying
Well,
that.
the edge of the stair, even though this is the sample shown, or the yellow edge for,
Hey, look, it's.
We typically do not do that, only because those tapes
As we add on.
wear out, and when they do, they look awful, and they sometimes will peel.
And they never get replaced, ever.
We do it in the schools every year, it's constant.
Yellow strip,
And so we don't normally do them.
I did.
Because they wear out, and I'm not sure they really help.
I didn't know if they made them embedded in it, so it wasn't a tape.
This one goes with it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's an.
They go over with it.
That's not take.
I mean, technically, it is. Yeah.
So that's, oh, yeah.
Well, Jimmy,
That is.
Pick here where you're stepping.
Exactly.
In where your toe is.
Seems more.
My only thing is where you have that texture right there.
One on the bottom has got a little.
That always.
And this one up here
gets
is
you.
more black.
Yeah.
I know, but if you put the tape is.
This tape is terrible. Yeah, the high vis tape that they use in the schools and stuff. It gets dirty.
Yeah, it gets dirty and then gets torn off.
Oh, really?
It's just
part of the-
Does anybody look at anyone?
That's part of it, right?
So this is.
Yeah.
Except this gets really tight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Make
sure I hit the
That works.
Yeah.
Well. you'd probably be happy to
And
do
that's
that.
So the risers and seals. are for them.
That way you have no exposure.
I'm probably waiting to be looking down when I'm.
By the time we get to.
Oh, okay.
Okay. bring it
That's
down
done.
here.
If I'm looking at the floor, the stairs, there's a problem.
Yeah. That's all the way down.
And when it's in, right? So,
Try to take a look at it.
Yeah.
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 One of those things-
so if you want to stay in the same color for that,
But I didn't wanna go.
Noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that. Orange always seems weird to me. I know when
I
you're
like the
looking
fact
at
that
one
when
feet away, 50 feet away.
You won't have to dirt catch it.
On this.
Yeah, hey, one of the other things.
His point is
Yeah. But it's the three thing I was concerned with, see how.
Keep in mind that you do have two
different-
Jewish cameras.
This is- this is what we are getting.
And
Where you going to see all of this? So we're gonna get Yeah.
Let's slide back this way, so you're not gonna.
I have another suggestion for the stairway.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to imagine here a little bit, but you've all been in stairways. When you walk into the stairway from whatever floor, you're gonna be able to see up the stairs, or on the upper floors, down the stairs. In the middle floor, you'll see in both directions. The back wall where the landings are, you're gonna be able to see more than one floor of wall there. So it's gonna have more verticality in there than a lot of other places. The far wall in the stairway, you could paint an accent color, like a blue, and then keep the floor pretty simple. And then have that color carry through the whole building and kind of tie that vertical space together,
Which one?
and maybe do something a little duller on the floor,
That's
rather than picking bright blue floor, for example.
Like from a distance.
That's a good idea. Do you just think that up?
I just thought that up, after Dan made the suggestion of, oh, maybe we ought to have some color in the stair.
It's so snappy tomorrow. You guys feel that? I feel some snapping.
This one.
Different color in the stair.
If you stand up and see.
Big bucks.
You don't constantly.
Yeah, really, I think this one, when you're standing up, it changes too far off the color. I like that.
Walk up to the next one.
You know what I mean?
If you have
When it's kind of a
real
real.
it's in one
I know.
place.
That's what I'm saying, when you, that's what I'm saying, stand up. Watch the lighting changes too.
Yeah, so now, this
I was saying.
And it's
That's good.
But even when I stand back from listening to
Yeah.
You can do that, you can do that, Brian, whatever you can
Yeah.
find in life.
Yeah, it does.
So it depends on what
Because the second floor has the entry in the back.
Now, tell you the top spots.
I don't think you mean ever.
When you stand back.
You mean to go around?
And when you show them together, you're
I
gonna
mean,
see.
it's really,
Mm.
the placement of the building. when you
So
can
this
see
is
it,
a
it's
little-
lines up, come on there.
Oh, no, fine.
It's.
Oh, I see, yeah.
It really is up. a little
There's
bit.
your elevator.
That's better. I don't know.
And then the elevator stairway.
Think about my-
The side will be the same as the,
Just a text, just what-
walls, it's all gonna be done.
Got elevator wall.
Landing,
Think about like-
stairwells out, you'll see the landing.
Why do we have less of that?
You'll see the handrail.
If we get to that level of minutia, I do like that.
The lighter color.
It's not a,
I know.
I love moment in my life when
All right.
I wish this elevator.
Yeah. And it's hard. I know when are they gonna clean it? But I think a lighter color would,
We don't have ceilings in there.
I think you do.
That's right.
That on a. That's what
I think
I.
this-
There's, let me look. There are for everything.
At one time, we talked about.
We did.
Yeah, but we sell on gravel.
But not necessarily with this chapel.
That's not good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not the, just the,
I think this is this thread right here.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
They say go.
Or should we?
That exact trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I say the exact
I
same.
think that tread looks good.
which one?
Okay,
I think this goes good.
and then use a color on the wall.
Yeah, and then we'll buy into Phil's wall color. Sale. Wow.
So we suggesting was color in this, that's exactly what you got, we both.
Color in the stairs.
We both won, how come I'm not with this?
Yeah. Get involved.
I won better than
There's no win for you over there.
There's no high and wind.
That's what I'm saying, we're thinking
So,
this.
So the draw sample that you showed, the full size sample, is that, with the speckles on it and everything? It's just plain.
And then we're saying like this, which is
So much.
Darker, which is the silver.
Stairwell craig.
Right.
every other color was easy.
Yeah, this is the hard one.
Is this on this palette here as well?
No, I mean, that's honestly, it's,
Might be a
It's
different
a
brand name.
discontinued one, watch.
Oh, back in the game.
This is the.
What's it say on the, it might be.
So George is saying something.
But they're saying,
different.
but they're saying, so we were saying this could be the stair, and they're saying that this color, the charcoal, would be the stair. So, you know, whether you, this is your handrail, that,
and then,
that.
then when you get on the landing, you paint the wall any color you want.
Right.
So you're saying this exists with that?
So that's what they're saying, these three here.
Yeah, and use the walls for color.
Right. Then it's typical to when you're in public safety, when you're in the middle, we're all the same color.
Yeah.
No, it's just.
So then skip the color.
So the color, your colors are gonna be like.
It's a stairwell.
Yeah,
that's fine.
All right, you got a question?
It is a stairwell, Dennis, but it is a main stairwell. It's
Yeah.
not like, you know, the stairwell for exiting. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do there. This one, you're gonna see because you have a glass wall.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
but I'm just saying, like, we don't wanna get too busy.
No,
Neutral and.
Yeah,
You're looking for
Stuck
some.
with a color that's.
I don't think you can.
Right.
With Phil's.
Exactly.
But it's
Absolutely right. You can change the color of the wall.
Crystal,
Exactly.
These floors are.
it's dynamite because I work there.
Exactly.
The neutral element.
You want to be George.
I just wanted to hear something.
Okay, well, separate,
Yes.
Yeah,
okay?
all right, so is that it for colors for now?
Get what you need? You got, we
All right,
We're good.
so you kind of have a direction to go, so we'll look at other things, colors of the wall.
You'll get all of these colors over to the contractor by 9 AM tomorrow.
Exactly.
That's what I wanna hear.
All right,
So we'll have to do this again a little bit with paint colors, but other than that. The other thing I would like permission to do is that there will be little incidental things that come up. Somebody will say, oh, can you pick out the color of the bracket that goes somewhere? I would like, be okay from you to pick out colors for incidental things that match this palette.
Define bracket.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Define incidental.
yeah,
Somebody says, what color is,
Brackets or bobbles too?
if somebody says, what color is the air conditioning unit that lays in the ceiling gonna be? I would think that you would think it was okay for me to say it's white like the rest of the ceiling.
right.
And if it goes into a wall, it's gonna be 3 different colors of gray. I will pick the gray that goes the best with what you have chosen.
Yeah.
We trust you. We trust you.
Yeah.
Said gold.
And gold, gray or gold. Got it.
Select black and gold flesh.
Sorry.
Select one.
Okay. All right, so actually, that was the last item on the agenda. I did want to let people know, and as our OPM stated, so I've been working with the project site superintendent. And as we've been setting this deal, we've been kind of looking for our topping off and ceremony. Basically, we're gonna put the last piece of steel in place. So I've been throwing that out there in our email. You've seen it.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, they were doing 30 to 50 pieces a day going through. During those 2 windy days that we had, they couldn't really maneuver too many large pieces for obvious reasons, safety. So they moved it and they're telling me that, the 20th, Wednesday, the 20th at 11 o'clock, if you could be there, so we could get in. They're looking to place it around 11:30. So they'll have the last beam there, all wooded in white, I think I told you, and we're going to,
So it's gonna be primed. I don't know that it's.
typical to the high school when we did it, you could go over, you could sign the beam before it's put in place. All I ask is when you get there, you can't park inside the gate on the site. Liability reasons, I was told not to, so student parking lot will have some spots. I did talk to Terry Masiello, that we can park up there also, and there may be a few spots on the road, depending on how many people show up. I did reach out to the chief, Joe Desmond, let him know we're gonna do it, so if we need any assistance there, but, so it will be, show up at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, the 20th.
Next Wednesday.
The question, George, for those people that may not be able to make that day, is there, and if they wanted to sign the beam, could they
No,
go, so it's then another?
no, the beam's too big. We have to set it on, two, Jersey barriers. You know,
Okay.
we had a limited amount of time to sign it. We got a limited time to put it up.
And that's all based on the crane too, because once that's set, then the crane leaves, so that's the expense.
I mean, it's technically the last piece. It probably won't be a few extra pieces that we're working on for the remainder of that day, but it'll be one of the last big pieces.
Substantial.
It'll be one of the ridge pieces, the second day in, on the front where the roof is like this. So it's a significant piece, and it doesn't get covered on the inside of the mechanical spaces that you're gonna be working in, so it will be preserved for people to be able to look at. What's the question?
No, for me, it's a work day. I mean, and that particular day, I'm paying off, retirees. So
That being-
obviously they need their
Will be in place in the morning,
In the
correct?
morning,
On Jersey barriers.
first
So
thing in the morning or late in the afternoon.
if you show up in the morning,
We'll find a way to, I mean, you're a selectman,
Or you can sign it.
we'll find a way to get you in there. We just don't wanna have people randomly coming all day long, cause it's an active work site. I mean, we can always make it.
what time do you go to work in the morning?
I leave at 7, but I have other things in first thing in the morning that I'll be around.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll talk to the contractor and see what we get.
You have my number.
It's probably, I think Greg's gonna have the same issue.
You guys have my, just set up, and everybody else just be there at 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, we will sign it at 11,
That,
Between 11 and 11:30.
between 11, yeah, for all.
11:30, put it up,
Put it up,
12 o'clock, we eat pizza.
okay. So
do you anticipate any?
I heard that.
No, we're not having pizza.
You just said you were bringing pizza.
You do. Oh, all of a sudden he doesn't have to pay the retirees?
There you go.
The retirees can wait a day, I'm getting pizza.
Eric, you gotta let any legislation know you're gonna, let anybody else know if they want to come and sign it, I don't know.
I'll reach out to the senator and the representative. We'll know that that's happening.
And
Okay.
It's actually a big milestone, and this is a big deal, and you guys worked really hard, this is a big deal.
will the other select board members sign? Should the other school committee members sign? Or is it just this committee? I don't know what.
Any town official.
If they wanna come down and sign,
down and sign it.
Okay, I'll at least let them know it's available on,
Yeah.
only for the 11 to 11:30 window and.
Yeah.
If you
What about
can, you
that?
can.
And they can't.
Can they say it's gonna be exposed?
They're gonna have hard hat, they go.
No, we already discussed.
We've already discussed that, we're coordinating on an area, that'll be a no hard.
It just won't be in the photo.
About the sneakers.
Not.
You have to wear pants, okay?
I was thinking of wearing. I haven't wear pants. I'll wear pants.
And can we sign it with like a magic marker or something?
We're gonna provide the magic
The
markers for
contract
you
is
to
going
sign.
to have the shot, the permanent marker.
Wait, it's gonna be invisible ink.
Just yours will be invisible.
It's white on the.
Police you up there with the, you'd be like, oh yeah, Kevin did something.
Black light only.
Any other discussion?
No, certainly not.
All right, last item on the agenda. would be-
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everyone. One roll call.